Now we are in the last video of the organic reactions group. We covered a bunch of categories. We covered, in fact, 7 categories of organic reactions, and the only way you are going to become proficient is if you practice each one of them, like go over them, make yourself some note cards, take your notes and create little note cards for yourself for each category so that you can recognize all of them, okay? You should remember that hydrogenation is when you're adding hydrogens across a double bond, turning an alkene into an alkane, or something that is unsaturated into something that is saturated. You should know that hydration is the addition of water to a double bond. And then when you turn an alkene, when you're adding the H and the OH, you turn the alkene into an alcohol. You should know that oxidation is the removal of hydrogens, and reduction is the addition of hydrogens. But you can't have an oxidation unless you also have a reduction. So you have to have 2 things. One is getting oxidized, the other thing is getting reduced at the same time. Okay. What else is there? Esterification. Esterification is when you have a carboxylic acid and an alcohol, and together they form an ester. You can create an ester. How does that happen? You remove an H and an OH and you create an ester. Hydrolysis can be the reverse of esterification. It is breaking of an ester bond. It's also all of the digestive enzymes catalyze hydrolysis reactions where you're adding water to break the bonds. And then finally, acid-base neutralization. You have an acid and you have a base and you create a salt. A salt has charges in it and that becomes more soluble. Okay, so those are the 7 categories. I think I have them all. What I did right now is I put 4 out of the 7 up on the board, and I want to go through them with you so that you can think it through and tell me what type of reaction this is, because this is something you will be seeing on quizzes and tests. Now, I might ask you to explain what reactions they are, not just identify them, but I could be giving you a question like, tell me what happens in an oxidation reaction, or tell me what happens in an esterification reaction. But also I could put some molecules up and some reactions and tell you, please identify this reaction. All right, so that's what I've done right now. All right, so let's take a look at the first one. All right, you see this here and this. All right, what is going on here? This, can you see that this is an alcohol? And what is this? This is a ketone. Do you guys remember what reaction converted an alcohol to a ketone? It's a little harder when I have line drawings, but go back to your notes and try to remember. Remember when I removed this H and I removed another H from over here, and then we created a double bond between here and here? So any reaction that removes 2 H's, remember that, what was that? Oxidation. Good. So this number 1 here is oxidation. Now I won't always show you an oxidation and a reduction, but something got reduced. I didn't show you what got reduced. Those 2 hydrogens went somewhere, and that thing that got reduced is sometimes called the oxidizing agent. So the oxidizing agent, it could be some chemical, it could be some other organic compound, but the oxidizing agent gets reduced. This thing got oxidized. Okay, how did you know it was an oxidation? When an alcohol gets turned into a ketone or an aldehyde, again, it's all about remembering the functional groups. If you can recognize the functional group, you can immediately categorize it to what group it's in, or what group of reactions it is. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. Here it looks like we have an alkene. There's a double bond, and we're adding water to it. So we're breaking the double bond, adding an HOH. Do you see that? what is that called? When you're adding water to something. When you're adding water to yourself, you're getting hydrated. So this is hydration. That should be an easy one for you guys. All right, let's take a look at this one over here. This one, you should recognize that this is a carboxylic acid. Remember, everything you learned in week 1, all those functional groups, we're using them now in week 2. So this is a carboxylic acid. Do you recognize what this is? This is an OH, so this is an alcohol. When you have an alcohol and a carboxylic acid, and then you're removing, it looks like you removed an HOH to form a carbonyl O in the middle of the molecule. You guys remember what this functional group is? This looks like an ester. So this whole reaction is esterification. Good. So this is esterification. Okay? This happens, I mean, all these reactions are going on in your body as we speak, okay? And then finally, I have this one over here. You remember what I told you about amines? Amines can behave as bases, and you all know that HCl is an acid. And what happens is that this lone pair, these 2 dots here, it's called a lone pair, pick up the H, and then the H, when it hooks up here, then nitrogen has 4 bonds, and it's not supposed to. It's supposed to only have 3. So when it has 4 bonds, it has a charge to it, just like the ammonium ion. So now we have this has a charge. The chloride is by itself. It has a charge. We have a charged molecule. It's an ionic compound that's charged. And what's that called? A salt. So when you have a base with an acid to form a salt, what is that called? Good. Acid-base neutralization. Acid-base neutralization. Just always remember, if you see an acid and you see a base, you form a salt. And the salt is an ionic compound. You're going to see a charge, so it's more soluble. A lot of medications are administered as salts rather than as acids or bases because salts are more soluble. All right. Okay, so this is just a flavor of some of the things you guys are going to have to know. Like I said, I gave you 7 categories of reactions. I only did this little quiz on 4. There will be more in Canvas, in the discussion, and in the quiz and stuff like that. So just keep practicing. And that's pretty much it for organic chemistry. So we spent 2 weeks on organic. Starting next week, we start biochemistry. So we had to do the beginnings of organic so that we can use all of these tools in biochemistry. And in biochemistry, we're going to start off with the macromolecules, the 4 major molecules of biochemistry, and they are carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. All right, and next week we are going to start with carbohydrates. Don't call them carbs, please. You guys are chemists now. We're going to call them carbohydrates. All right, so biochemistry is different than organic, but it takes all of the tools of organic and to understand the biochemistry properly. Okay, great. Good job, guys.